We left off last week in Exodus chapter 13, around verse 17. Exodus 13 and verse 17. Before we pick up there, I wanted to address a question that was asked right at the end of class last week as we were running out of time, as it pertained to the redemption of the firstborn. And Brother Andy had asked a good question: do we have any accounts, examples of this actually taking place? I want us to look at Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2, beginning with verse 21. And as a little bit of review, God had commanded the Israelites that they were to redeem their firstborn, because the firstborn, everything that was the firstborn among them, their sons and their of their flocks, that belonged to the Lord, and it would have to either be given to him or redeemed in some way. And as you continue to read, you learn that God took the Levites for his special purpose, and then said that he made an amount of money that they were to give for their firstborn son. That money would go to the sanctuary, the tabernacle, and for the work of the priests. And then for their herds, there was a specific sacrifices that they were to make. For example, if they had a donkey, then they could redeem the firstborn donkey and keep it for work with a lamb. But if they were not going to be willing to redeem it, he says, then kill it, because it's mine. And so he's emphasizing to them, he's reminding them the significance of the protection that he provided back in Egypt, and the plague that he brought against Egypt, the great exodus, the great deliverance, and putting in place for them, helping them to also see the importance of redemption and being faithful to him. In Luke chapter 2, we have a faithful family. Joseph and Mary, when Jesus is born, we're told when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called Jesus, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. And verse 23 is essentially a direct reference back to what we have been reading in Exodus chapter 13. And to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. And so there are actually two different, at least two different commands that they are fulfilling here. One is that the law of purification as it pertained to the mother who has given birth. And then there's also the redemption of the firstborn son that is in play here, as they are making sacrifice on behalf of Jesus. Now, while it does not explicitly state here from the law, we understand that they likely would have also paid an amount of money. However, the 5 shekels was not the only requirement. There was also to be sacrifice, offering. And if we go back to Leviticus chapter 12, Leviticus chapter 12, we'll begin at verse 1. The Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the month of the first year, the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregations of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls, every man according to his eating, shall make your count for the lamb. So this is a rehearsal and specification concerning the Passover feast and preparing for it. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. In verse 6, ye shall keep it unto the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door of the post of the house, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in. Okay, I'm in Exodus 12. I'm sorry. I was wondering, this is very familiar, familiar to Exodus. You could interrupt. Exodus 12 is a good one. We've been through there. All right, Leviticus chapter 12. I was getting there. I knew verse 8 was supposed to be. All right. Verse 1, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 3 and 30 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. But if she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 66 days. And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled, for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb for the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation unto the priest, who shall offer it before the Lord and make an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law of her that hath borne a male or female. And if she be not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtles, or that is 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, the one for the burnt offering and the other for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her, and she shall be clean. So the redemption would have involved the 5 shekels we see in Numbers chapter 3 and I believe Numbers chapter 18, if I'm recalling correctly. Here is the law of the purifying for the mother, which would include this sacrifice. Something that is brought out here for us is the poverty of Mary and Joseph, because in Luke chapter 2, we're told that they brought 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons. That's what they were keeping, which is we imply from that, or excuse me, we infer from that, what is implied is that they didn't have enough to have a lamb. They didn't have the money for that, which ironically, they had the lamb, and they were redeeming the Redeemer, if you will. So in Luke 2, we have an example of a faithful family going and keeping. They're keeping the law of circumcision. They're keeping the law of purification. They're keeping the law of redemption. Interestingly, in Samuel, in 1 Samuel, we have an example of a mother who does not try to redeem her son. Hannah, as you recall, was barren. And Hannah prayed to the Lord that she might give her a son, and he does. He grants her that. And she doesn't go and try to redeem him, pay a price to get him back, but instead she gives him to the Lord. She made that promise to God when she prayed if he would give her a man child, a son, that she would give him to the Lord. The King James says lent. The ASV has grant to the Lord. And so in 1 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 27, for this child I prayed, and the Lord hath given me my petition which I asked of him. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord, and he worship. And the Lord there. And you learn that this would be Samuel. Obviously, Samuel um, would become a great priest and prophet of God um, among God's people. And was Samuel a judge? My mind's not working. Was he the final judge? I believe so. So Samuel was a great man of God, and Hannah gave him over to God. So going back to Exodus 13 now, what questions or comments do you have as it pertains to the redemption of the firstborn? What verse are you referring to? Exodus 13. Mm-hmm. And Hebrew oftentimes would do this. It sets forth a general statement and then clarifies a little more, goes more specific. And so, setting apart all that unto all that openeth the womb and every firstling, and specifically talking about the flocks there and the beasts, the animals that they had. Um, the redemption was related to the firstborn, but God expected them to set apart everything. Everything that God had given, essentially, they were to recognize that it was from God. And there was, um, which is a principle for us. Yes, ma'am? The redemption offering, that's just the firstborn, is my understanding. The male. And then what we read in Leviticus 12 was that male or female, and it wasn't specific to the firstborn. They would offer either the lamb or the the two turtle doves or pigeons. The I believe Leviticus 12 would be for every child. Hmm. And but the redemption price, the 5 shekels, would have been just for the firstborn son. And then you've got other offerings for the firstborn of their flocks, of their beasts. Um, yes, I believe in verse 15, and also coupled with understanding their culture as a whole, that when they talked about the firstborn, they're talking about the male, the firstborn male, because he's going to be the one who is going to be given the patriarchy of the family eventually when the father dies. He's going to be the one that would receive a double portion, that birthright, all of that comes with that. Um, there's significance with that concerning it being the firstborn male. If a daughter is born first, she's still. If you had all daughters, is that what you were saying? Uh, right, right, Right.
That's for the mother's purification.
Right.
We have both of that,
Right.
as you mentioned in Luke 2, law of purification.
You have numerous laws that they were to keep, and things to do in order to continue to be faithful to God and to show their dedication to Him. And so, and you can really get into this, like Brother Billy said, like the book of Leviticus. You need to study it, and you can't just read through it and understand everything. You've got to really dig into it. Concerning, before we uh, finish up here in chapter 13 and go into verse 17 of chapter 13, concerning redemption, there's, the picture here that this child, God says, this child belongs to me. You have to buy it from me, basically. You have to buy it back. That's what redeeming means, to buy back. You think about um, the innocent soul that is born into this world, it belongs to God. But eventually, when we begin to sin, we give ourselves over to Satan. And God has paid the price to buy us back. And so for us to be redeemed, He has paid the ultimate price, and that is His only begotten Son. In Exodus 13 and verse 17, it came to pass when Pharaoh had let the people go that God led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest peradventure the people repent when they see war and they return to Egypt. But God led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up harnessed out of the land of Egypt. And so God informs us now as to whether He informed them of this at this time. We don't know. Moses is writing this after the fact, and he says that God led them not by the way of the Philistines. That, I don't have a map up here, but that route from Egypt up into the Promised Land, in order to take the shortest route, you would have to go through the land of the Philistines, and which is a lesson for us. The shortest or easiest way is not always the best way. But God also indicates the knowledge that He has of their heart. He says, lest peradventure the people repent, that is, turn back, when they see war and they return to Egypt. And He knows their heart, and their heart is going to even be revealed even further as we get into chapter 14, because they're going to want to go back. They're going to wonder why, when Pharaoh is coming after them, why didn't you just leave us in Egypt? And then Numbers 13 and 14, when they send the spies into the land, and 10 of them come back and say, we can't do this. We're afraid. We're grasshoppers in their sight because they're giants. And so God knew their heart, but God had led them a different way so that they would not immediately turn back. And He led them by the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea. And it says that they went up harnessed. That is, they went up equipped. They went out ready. They had everything that they needed when they went out of the land of Egypt. And Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones away hence with you. Here is, while somewhat a fascinating thing to consider, that they have continued to keep this covenant and this promise to Joseph, going back to Genesis chapter 50 and verse 25. Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones from hence. Now, how many years had transpassed at the point that they are coming out of Egypt. I don't know precisely. Someone else may know better, but they've gone from 70 to millions in that time span between Joseph and now. They are leaving Egypt, and they still are making sure that they have his bones, and they're taking them with him. You also will read about this in Joshua. You will read about his bones. So they're keeping the promise, the oath that they had made to Joseph to carry his bones up out of Egypt. And they took their journey from Succoth and encamped in Etham in the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them by way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night. He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. So God was with them in every way, and at every moment. He gave them a pillar of cloud to lead them during the day, and then at night he gave them the pillar of fire so that they would have light. They knew that he was always there. Um, we can see ultimately fulfillment in that God has sent the light, his light into the world, the light of the world into the world, that is Jesus, and we have guidance daily, and we can know of his presence daily. And day and night, we have uh, uh, the evidence of who our God is and how we are to go as well, and to know that he is there. What questions or comments to this point?
On the very same line that you just mentioned, they would see that fire at night. That must have been an awesome sight. You think about seeing a cloud. That is spectacular, but not nearly as spectacular as I think the
Right.
fire would be at night. I think of Hebrews 13, where it says, "God, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee."
Yeah. I will never leave you nor forsake you. I was thinking the same as you were talking there. In chapter 14, beginning with verse 1, the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel that they turn and encamp before Pihahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal Zephon. Before it shall ye encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land, the wilderness hath shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them. And I will be honored upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. So they're going the direction that God guided them to go. And God informs them that you're going to encamp in this particular area, and Pharaoh is going to think that he's got you. He's going to think that he's got you surrounded, and that there is no way for you to escape. And Pharaoh's heart is going to be hardened, uh, just as he's just told you to leave. Now he's going to change his mind and want to come back after you. But I'm going to be glorified. I'm going to be honored by what I do to Pharaoh in Egypt, so that they will know that I am the Lord. So the Egyptians are going to know, but also this is for the children of Israel to know that I am the Lord, to be reminded of who Jehovah is, and to continue to show his power. Once again, Pharaoh has an opportunity to just leave well enough alone and recognize that God is the powerful God that he has shown him to be, but yet now Pharaoh is trying to glorify himself again. And so God would show him that it is only he, that is Jehovah, that is to be glorified. It was told the king of Egypt that the people fled. Verse 5, And the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people, and they said, "Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us?" You have how soon we forget, right? And we can somewhat relate to this, I suppose, that we forget the magnificent evidences that we've seen in the scriptures. We forget those sermons that have pricked our hearts. We forget those words and those teachings sometimes that have taught us. But here you think God has sent these 10 plagues, and you would think that they would know that that should not be something that I do. I should not go after the Israelites. But again, they go. Questions or comments? Right. Right. And that was a fear they had, that they would overtake them in some way. And so what do? They oppressed them more to show control over them. In verse 6, he made ready his chariot and took his people with him, and he took 600 chosen chariots and all the chariots of Egypt and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with a high hand. What do you suppose that means? That the children went out with an high hand. Boldness, confidence. It's good to have confidence, healthy confidence, biblical confidence, and certainly we shouldn't go through our lives like the other night. We watched uh, a cleaned up version of What About Bob, and the man in there was scared of every little thing, scared he was going to die. Uh, but here you've got seemingly an overconfidence, a naive confidence, because they think nothing's going to happen to them, but they're still faithless. They're not full of faith at this point. They go out thinking all is well, and the Egyptians pursued after them, and the horses and the chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea beside Pi-hahiroth, before Baal Zephon. And so when Pharaoh drew nigh, or drew near, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we should serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And so you see, just like with Pharaoh, how soon we forget. Now you have the Israelites. How soon you forget. You have seen what God has done in Egypt to the Egyptians and the protection He's provided for you. But very quickly, you go out with this high hand and this confidence, and then as soon as difficulty arises, you're ready to give up. You're ready to complain and murmur and wonder, why didn't you just leave us there? We told you, Moses, just leave us alone. We'll keep serving the Egyptians. Moses said unto the people, verse 13, Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. So Moses provides for them assurance and confidence again that God's going to show you something great once again, and God is going to fight for you. This army cannot overtake you. There's nothing that they can do to harm you. We'll stop there for the time being, and we'll pick up with the course of these events as they're going to cross the Red Sea in our next period of study. What questions or comments do you have to this point? When we forget, when we become afraid, when we are tempted to complain, we need to go back and remember what God has done and who He is, and go back to the Word that we have that tells us of Him and His greatness and His glory and His commands, to and also to talk to Him about those things that cause us fear. Cast all of your care upon Him, for He careth for you. 1 Peter 5 and verse 7.
Luke 8:14 in the parable of the sower, where it calls good seed of the seed falls upon me, rocky or the stony ground. It says in times of persecution, they fall away because they have no root.
That's right.
And so I think about them. They were not well rooted.
That's right. We're not well rooted yet. Just like, very good. What other questions or comments? All right, we'll pick up in Exodus 14, verse 15, Lord willing, next Wednesday.